the challenge with this is there's going to be a constriction of credit because this mops up liquidity from the system within the banking system, and also because it increases the cost of access to credit. That's not a good thing in a situation where we are still. Let's not forget that we're still pushing to achieve more robust within the economy. When you remember that our annual growth rate, population-wise, is above 3%, having a GDP that is trending below 3% is not growth. We are not growing. So we are supposed to be pushing for growth in the region of 5, 6, maybe 7% in the medium term and above 10% in the long term. So we cannot pursue policies that mitigate growth.
Well, let's talk about the exchange rate now. How do you think the interest rate hike will affect this sector of the economy?
The factors that affect exchange rate to a certain degree, maybe, it can be argued that by increasing interest rates, you reduce money supply in a way, and therefore reduce the pressure on the naira. That is only a small segment of factors that affect our exchange rates. So no, I don't think you will see any significant moderating effect that this would cause. The pressure points that drive the value of naira down again are far more than just availability of money. It's just simply a case of demand to satisfy our consumption and importation needs. So no, I don't think that this is going to have much of an impact.
Now, the CBN has justified its policies, saying raising interest rates would help tackle inflation. Do you share the Apex Bank's sentiment and optimism?
The inflation that we have in Nigeria is more cost-push inflation. It's inflation that is being driven by a number of factors that affect just the cost of access to goods and services in the country. Logistic costs, security constraints, international supply chain challenges. All of those factors have played a role in driving us to where we are with inflation. So increasing the monetary policy rates by 500 basis points will not make much of a difference, in the inflationary pressures and trends that we are seeing. And I think that this point is already evidentially available to us. The central bank has increased the monetary policy rate now consistently this was the 6th MPC meeting that increased the monetary policy rate, and yet inflation has continued to go up. So it's clear that it's not working. And when it's not working, you should do something else. And I want to believe that the MPC will see this and they will change strategy.
Well, we'll take a breather now, but Money Matters will be back shortly. To stay with us. welcome back to the program. If you're just joining us, I've been talking to Segun Shokwiton, Principal Partner at Woodridge and Scott Consulting, on some of Nigeria's burning economic issues. Thank you so much for joining us. Now, the federal government is expected to scrap fuel subsidy by mid-2023. In what ways will this affect CBN's control of inflationary pressure?
Very, very clearly and very obviously, once you take subsidy out, what automatically happens is that a fundamental input into the productive activities of the country, the economy, will have its costs increase significantly by over 350%. The players, the stakeholders within that sector have told us, there was news that came out yesterday and this morning, that once subsidy goes, we should expect pump price of petrol to trend around between 700 to 750, maybe 800 naira per liter. When you bear in mind that as I speak now, the average pump price is about 200 naira, you realize that that is potentially up to a 400% increase in an item that is a significant proportion of the cost of businesses and the cost of individuals in this country. When you combine that with increasing interest rates and what that could do to the cost of goods, you can only see this resulting in very, very serious inflationary pressures. And I think that because of that, it is unlikely that the federal government will go ahead with this policy. And I want to strongly advise that they do not. There are fundamental issues that must be addressed before subsidy removal begins to make sense. We understand the arguments in support of subsidy removal, but it cannot be done in isolation of the fundamental reasons why importation of petroleum is pretty much 100% in terms of satisfying our local consumption needs. So, ability to refine products locally, for example, must be addressed before you can talk about subsidy removal. Another thing that can be addressed is the corruption within the subsidy system. If the government is able to fish out the people that are collecting subsidies without bringing any products in, then the subsidy volumes will go down. So removing the subsidies now without dealing with these issues will simply be transferring the cost of the inefficiencies of government to the citizens, and that will not be right. And as usual with nature, there will be a reaction. So I would suggest that given the political climate now, a removal of subsidy at this time would be a calamitous error, and it should be avoided.
Well, many have also argued that the federal government must provide its citizens with necessary economic drivers to cushion the adverse effects of fuel subsidy removal. But will these palliatives, so to speak, have any real impact?
Look, the Minister of Budget and National Planning came out 2 weeks ago, categorically declared to the Nigerian public that the government has not even commenced any conversation around providing palliative measures. That it's not something that they're contemplating. So the intention of government as we speak now is, except expect if something changes tomorrow. The intention of government is to take the subsidy out without making any arrangements, pushing the negative effects. So I really don't understand what's driving that thinking. If you wanted to provide palliatives, you have to look at the cost components in the average Nigeria's say monthly spend and cost components, or directly subsidize. You know, the question subsidies out. What has you done about mass public transport, maybe trains or a larger variety of big buses that can move large buses simultaneously? You know, what else? There's so many other things impacted directly by this, and the government ought to come out with a clear program that will deal with the short-term, very negative impact of increases in the cost of those items. Nigerians, they even talk about subsidy. It remains to be seen how they want to navigate this very, very delicate matter.
Now, many thought leaders have argued that monies used for subsidy can be used for other important economic needs of the nation. How do you react to that argument?
I'm sure from everything I've said, you can see that I don't support subsidy removal. So, that argument may look true on the face of it if you don't do a critical analysis and introspection. So the argument, for example, is that the subsidy bill for the 2023 budget is trillion naira. In budgeting half of the year, the subsidy bill was 3.3 or saving around 3 trillion naira. By no longer, of course, if you take subsidies out, and even if the debt, then you can deploy the money maybe into infrastructure projects, critical infrastructure in very critical that have an impact on the life of Nigerians.
Now, finally, before I let you go, the latest report on Nigeria's total public debt reveals a growth of 4.96%, hitting 46.25 trillion naira in Q4 2022. How serious is this development?
Look, I mean, there is absolutely no problem with a country having a high debt profile. Our problem is not the volume of debt. Our problem is that we do not generate enough productivity from that debt to create the cash flows required to pay that debt back. So we continue to pile up the debt, and our debt service gets worse. As I speak, their salaries, you know, that is the problem. Not the debt in itself that the problem is the application of debt. What activities are the government deploying this debt that we continue to pile up into, and how do those activities create in a commensurate increment in revenue? That is the challenge. If that challenge, we continue to do this. I don't have any problem borrowing money. There is no problem in borrowing money. Even though I also believe that there are better ways